Hey guys, it is Gwen, and I am so happy to be with you here today. Sometimes my brain gets ahead of my words, but if you don't know me, I love helping women slay debt. I love helping women slay debt, especially the ones who think they're too busy to pull their money life together. The ones who think that they don't know how to attack their debts, the ones that think that they're not smart enough, the ones that believe some sort of belief that ultimately isn't true. I love helping those women figure out that they can actually do this, okay? While playing with the kids, while being an entrepreneur, while having a career, while being a stay-at-home mom. I love helping women figure out that they can step in and create financial wholeness for themselves. So today, I want to talk to you about using your savings to pay down debt. So a lot of people ask me this question. They're like, Gwen, I've got, this much debt and I've got this much in my savings. Should I take my savings and use it to pay off my debt? There's a simple and a not so simple answer to this, right? The simple answer is maybe. The not so simple answer is it depends on where you are and what that looks like for you as far as how much debt you have, what kind of debt you have, how much money you actually have in your savings. And so we'll start from there. But I know what it feels like to have debt weighing on your shoulders because that was me. My whole story is the way that I found myself here, like wanting to take charge of my finances, is because I had $15,000 in my salary taken away from me without any notice the week after I returned back from maternity leave. Okay, I got the phone call the week before I got back to work, like, hey, your salary is going to be reduced, $15,000. We'll see you in a week. And I was like, and that was the first moment that I realized someone else was in charge of my income and I wasn't. And I hadn't done the work to be up to date on knowing those things. And I was like, I don't like to be here where I am, knowing that I'm not in charge of my income fully. Like, I want to have my hands in the situation. So that's what started me on this path of figuring things out. And we just got fed up with where we were in our debt. And I was like, it's time to do something, okay? Because I'm the type A, like, take control type of person. My husband's the type of person who will sit back and be like, we'll always have money, babe, even if we had $0 in our bank account, okay? So I'm the one who checks the bank account before we purchase anything. He's the one who's like, it's just going to be in there. So I know you probably are relating because you're either one or the other, right? It's not usually that like both of you are the same if you're married. But that's how I am. So I dug my heels into the ground. And I was like, we're going to figure this out. So when you have a lot of debt and it's weighing on your shoulders and it is stressful and it feels like you can't stop thinking about it and it feels like it's in your way and you can't do anything about it, I completely and totally understand what that feels like because I've been there and I've had to work myself out of there too. When paying down debt feels like a priority, you want to take everything that you have as far as your money and like throw it at the debt so that it doesn't feel so painful anymore. So here's what I typically tell my clients as far as having an emergency savings and how much savings should you have and how do you attack your debt. So old Dave Ramsey ways will tell you want to have $1,000 in your savings account. Now, I don't know about you, but $1,000 is not going to get you very far in this world. It's what month are we in? It's October 2021. $1,000 in your savings account isn't going to get you very far. So it's a great start. You'll also, this is my favorite emergency savings, nest. I like to tell people $3,000 is a really great base. It's a really great base to have in your emergency savings because if you think of an emergency, there are things like, and I'm just thinking about things that have happened to us in our house, needing to order oil in an emergency for our house because we moved in and they left us with no oil and it was 40 degrees inside our house. Needing new tires on a car, I mean, that could be $1,000, right? So you wipe yourself out completely of your savings if you have to spend $1,000. Repair on a boiler. It could be anything, right? typically going to be anywhere between $500 to $1,000. That's like a typical emergency, but sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes you need a new water pump and it's more than $1,000. So if you can have $3,000 in a base emergency savings account that you do not touch, that is a really great place to start. Now, if you have a ton more money than that in a savings account, we're going to talk about two things. Number one is a high yield savings account. If you don't have one of those yet, get one. Right now in this current state, like today where we are, high yield savings accounts are not yielding us a ton of extra money. But the difference is this. If you put your money in a savings account, like a regular checking and savings, if you put it in a savings, it's earning you 0.04% or somewhere around there. 0.04%, okay? If you put it in a high yield savings account, which literally is just a different kind of savings account, it doesn't cost you anything, it's earning you right now 0.5%. It had been previously 2%. So your money was sitting in a high yield savings account earning you 2%. So if you put your emergency savings of $3,000 in a high yield savings account, you're going to be earning yourself more money. Your money's going to be working for you over time. And hopefully you don't need to touch that emergency savings, and it actually does build some money. Now, it's not going to be quick and fast. I mean, even 2% is not fantastically fast, but it's more than you're getting in your regular savings. So that is step one. If your emergency savings is not in a high yield savings account, Google high yield savings accounts. I use Chime. I like it just because of ease of access, and it doesn't have a lot of other things in there, so it's easy to use. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, it depends on how much money you have in your savings. So if you've got like 15 grand in your savings and you're like, Gwen, I don't know, I have like $40,000 in debt. Should I take my savings and pay it to my debt? If it were me and if it were my client, depending again on other life circumstances and job status and medical health and all that stuff, typically I would say, yes, let's take some of that cash and let's put it on some of your debt. Because what's likely happening is that your debt has an interest. So your debt is now costing you more money than the base amount that you have as debt. And over time, the longer you don't pay off that debt, the more money you're going to owe. I don't know if you have student loans, but you probably feel me when you look at like, here's my original loan date. Here's what I took out to begin with. I've been paying it for 10 years and I've only come down this much in my student loans because of interest. So yes, the answer is yes. I believe that you should take, if you have a massive amount of savings or more money than an emergency in your savings account, take some of that money and put it towards your debt. Don't take all of it. You want to have some money in your savings account. I would stick with $3,000 as a base. Now, here's why. Actually, let me talk about two things. One, $3,000 in your base savings. Your emergency savings account, if you need to have cash in an account somewhere that feels good for your emergencies, then do it. But what I also want you to realize is that your emergency savings doesn't just have to be in a savings account. There are other options. So if you're not investing your money yet, hear me loud and clear, because I wish I had this information when I was 18 years old and my dad started a Vanguard account for me. I wish I began investing my money then. There are ways that you can withdraw on any contributions that you have made to your investments. Now, I am not a financial advisor. I am not giving you financial advice. I am a financial coach, and I work with individual clients on their situation. So everybody's situation is different. I can tell you what I've done or what kind of information is accessible to you so that you can check it out. There is a company called M1, and they are an investment company. So you can open up an investment account with M1. And what they have inside M1 is a way for you to borrow against your investments. So let's just say that you only have $3,000 in your emergency savings account. You have a high yield savings account because you're like, I'm going to do this the right way. $3,000 is sitting there, right? And an emergency for $5,000 comes up and you need $5,000. You can actually borrow against what you have contributed to your investments in M1 financing. So they will give you a loan off of your money, basically off of your investments. Now you can only borrow against what you've contributed in your investments, and they'll charge you a 2% interest. So is it like having that extra $2,000 in cash where, you're not getting charged an interest to pull on it? No. But if it's a true emergency, this is something that doesn't typically happen. It doesn't come out often. Having that easy access to those funds, if you need them, but you don't have to keep it in a high yield savings account, which is earning you 0.5%. Because if you have it in investments and you are investing in low cost index funds or mutual funds, your money is earning you about 10% a year. Let's just say 8 to 10% a year. On average, your money is earning you. So if you are putting money in an investment account and your money is earning you money and you don't have to touch it, but it's there just in case you need it for an emergency, your money is working for you. Instead of it just sitting in a savings account doing absolutely nothing, where interest can be compounded over time, okay? So you have plenty of options, and this is why I say it's not as important to have your 6 to 7 months of living expenses only in a savings account. If you've been investing your money, this is another way that you can access money for an emergency. Cool, huh? All right, so people freak out about having an emergency fund. And this is why I say invest while you're paying down debt. Now, I wish I had done this. It's okay. You are where you are. It is not who you are. And you can start wherever you are. If you are 37 like me and you're just going to start investing, it's okay. You're starting now and that's fantastic. So I like to do 45, 45, 10. This is a concept that's been taught to me by the ULA guys, and it has worked for me. It is exactly what helped me pay down $25,000 in debt in 5 months. And then 2 months later, I think we're up to 40,000, okay? Paid down in our debt. So this works, and it creates like a consistency for you to pay down debt and also invest at the same time. What you want to do is look at your income coming in for the month and your expenses, and the gap that you have. Hopefully there's a gap. And if there's not a gap, then you're going to figure it out. We can work together. We can help you figure out how to get to the green gap and not a red non-gap. Okay, the gap that you have at the end of the month, the money you have left over, you're going to split that up. You're going to take 45% of it and put it into your debt. You're going to take 45% of it and put it into your investments. And then you're going to take just a little off the top, about 10%. You're going to set it aside for fun. Because you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to be consistent with paying down your debt if you can't have any fun at all. 10%. Stick it into a fun account. You can use it right away. You can save it up and use it later. It doesn't matter what you use it for. It is your fun money. But you will be paying off debt and investing at the same time. So if you have $15,000 in savings, what I'm going to tell you to do is split that up. Take 45% of it and put it on your debt. 45% of it and put it in investments. And then be consistent every single month. So should you use your debt to pay down savings? Sure, it depends. It depends on what your situation looks like, but it's not going to hurt you. I just wouldn't leave yourself with $0 of accessible cash to you right now that you could just take your ATM card, go to the bank and take out cash, right? Somebody else has asked me about taking a home equity loan. We'll talk about that in a whole nother video because that's like very specific and there's a lot more information when it comes to taking out a home equity loan to pay down debt or pay off other loans or other debts. So yeah, let me know if you have questions about that process. This is not about me. This is about you guys. This is about you and what you're asking for as far as help and wants and needs when it comes to finances. This is what women need right now, is other women who are like, you know what? I'm ready to take charge of my finances and I don't care how messy it is. I'm just going to start, because that was me. I'm like, you know what? I may not know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to start, because if I don't start, I'm never going to figure it out. So if debt is something that weighs you down and it sits on your shoulders and it's something that kills you every single day that you go to bed and you have a hard time sleeping because you're thinking about the amount of debt that you have. And it doesn't matter, by the way, the number, because everybody's, situation and feelings around debt is different. For you, it could be 100K. For me, it could be 35K. And we could feel the same amount of weight from that debt, even though our numbers are different. So it doesn't matter the number. I know how it feels to be emotionally drained and stressed and worried about where the next dollar is going to come from. I do, because I've been there. So what this is about is me wanting to help you get out of debt. Slay your debt, make it sexy, make it fun, right? And show other women like, hey guys, you can do this too. And you know what? You need to do this too. Because finances are not just for the guys. Finances are for the women too. And actually, we rock this place. We rock this place. So anyway, if you are looking for help and you want to start paying down debt and you just don't know where to start, I've got a great freebie for you. I will throw it in the comments. It's called Debt Secrets. It is 5 simple ways to start slaying your debt without cutting your Starbucks. Okay? If you want that freebie, you can just click on the link and grab it. I would be happy to welcome you into our free community who are full of women who are looking at taking their life and designing a life that they love instead of feeling like life has control over them. If that's something that you want, if that's something that you need, I am here for you. I am running with you. Click on the link below and join us. I cannot wait to see you guys there. Happy day. I will see you in the next video.